Today's success story is about the K-1 Fiancé Visa. There's so many things about this story that really shows you how broken the immigration system is, but not what you might think. K-1 visa is a fiancé visa. You are a US citizen, you fall in love with somebody who's overseas, you petition them to come over as a fiancé, and then you get married, and then they get a green card. That's the fiancé visa. It's in lots of movies, but I want to walk you through the details of how this US citizen lawyer, mind you, went through this process and all the steps in between. And this is already as smooth as possible, and you will see just exactly how broken the system is, but not broken in the way you might think. It's not Congress's fault. It's just reality, okay? Let's get to it. This US citizen fell in love while studying abroad in 2019. After dating for about 3 years, 4 years, decided, you know what, we really want to get married. So the official K-1 application was filed with USCIS in March 2023. We filed it. The case did not get approved until January 2024. So almost a full year. USCIS reviews this whole application, whether or not this person is credible and deserves to get approved for a K-1. After the approval in January of 2024, they're supposed to go to an interview. And the interview is supposed to happen within about 4 or 5 months. So the interview at latest should be by May of 2024. But there was no appointments available. No matter how often we check, no matter how fast we push, the consulate could not give an appointment. The soonest available appointment was in September of 2024. And we had to get this case revalidated because once USCIS approves it, they give you a small window. You have to get the visa by this time and enter the country, but no appointments were available. So the fastest appointment was in September in 2024. We got it revalidated. The client went to the interview. Smooth sailing, great interview, passed, entered the US. At the customs part, passed. But this part was the part where they were worrying about it the most because prior to filing for the K-1, every single time during their dating process, the custom officer would give this foreign national an extremely hard time. And was a European too, okay? A white European, handsome, great guy coming to the US was receiving a hard time at customs, so was forced to now do this K-1 visa. Anyways, entered the US successfully, and we filed the green card application this April 2025, and the adjudication time with another interview probably takes about a year. So let's go through the timeline again. Fell in love, decided to want to get married in 2023, files this, like, what, 500-page application with USCIS. Gets approved. Took a whole year for this immigration agency to approve it. Then a consulate has to interview and approve that. That took from January to September. Took 9 more months. Finally approved. Flies in. Customs interviews them. Approves it. Finally, after all of that, 3 different agencies approving that, taking like more than 2 years, finally they can get married. And then they file for the green card, which will take another year before this person can get a green card. That is the fiancé visa, without any hiccups, by the way, right? There's no request for evidence by USCIS. We prepared a good job. No difficult interview, no administrative processing, no confiscation and revocation at the CBP office. Everything smooth sailing, yet it still took this long. Why? Why does our government put US citizens under such a hardship? They just want to get married and file. And that is what we want to talk about, the system. When there are so many, K-1 visa is obviously the fiancé visa. What's the alternative to that? What a lot of people do is they just directly come into the country as a tourist or whatnot, stay here legally, fall in love, get married, and directly file for adjustment of status. So many people around the world do that. It generally works in the sense that U.S. citizens are eligible to do that. USCIS might give them a little bit harder time, but instead of waiting, apart for more than 2 years, they're at least together. The unfortunate situation and the good intention behind the K-1 visa, the fiancé visa, is that it befalls on so many people who cannot get a visa. They cannot get a tourist visa, because if they can get a tourist visa, or they have a visa waiver, a lot of times people just come here, get married, and just stay here, right? So a lot of people do that. So who applies for the K-1 visa then? Are the people who can't get any visas. And if they can't get any visas, why? Well, there's probably something in their background. And if there's something in their background and they can't apply for a visa, then everybody who applies for the K-1 visa almost looks like they're bad people. They're bad apples. So now good intending immigrants who have a solid case, when they're applying for a visa, suddenly USCIS, when they're reviewing these applications, suddenly just almost automatically assumes there's something wrong with you. So USCIS takes 8-9 months, approves it. The consulate naturally takes that long. Now, this isn't just about K-1 visa. It's about E-2 visa, it's about O-1 visa, it's about so many other visas at the consulate stage. It's not just K visas, because consulates only have so much personnel and their funding is getting cut, while the number of people applying for immigration benefits for visas abroad is increasing. Just a few months ago, we went to Mexico to visit the consulate, and we got to have a good idea and understanding of how the consulate and embassy works. And this is Mexico, where the embassy's funding is actually increasing, where they're able to get a bigger building, where they're able to get more personnel, unlike many other consulates and embassies across the world, where their funding is actually shrinking and their personnel is shrinking. At the same time, when population almost across the world, different agencies are, and wealth in different agencies and governments are increasing, so more people are applying to come to the United States, whether it's tourist visas, F1 student visas, executive L1 visas, O1 visas, K1 visas. When applications are soaring, number of personnel is shrinking, time gets longer, and so one of the biggest immigration fraud that happened in 2025, guess what it is? It's trying to game the appointment system at embassies. Isn't that crazy? Bots are just booking up all the slots. Very much like, what's that called in the US? When you're trying to buy a ticket and you couldn't get it, and there's bots who just bought the ticket and they're trying to sell it on the second market. Anyways, if you feel frustrated about not being able to attend a Taylor Swift or Beyonce concert because you couldn't get a ticket, or the ticket now, instead of $200, now it's like $2,000. Imagine if you're trying to get married and you, instead of waiting 2-3 months for an interview, you have to wait an extra year before you can even be interviewed to get a visa to come to the US to get married. But that is the unfortunate situation that we are facing today across the world, at every consulate, every embassy. If you want an appointment to get a visa, tourist visa, K-1 visa, E-2 visa, you are so low on the totem pole. Who are they prioritizing? They're prioritizing green card applications, which makes sense. They're prioritizing business applications and green card applications, makes sense. And then a lot of the non-immigrants. Now, with that being said, going to the embassy, going to the consulates, seeing how they manage their staff. They have different departments managing different cases, and they move the personnel around. Ultimately, there's still the same number of personnel managing all the non-immigrant applications, and it's just because there's so many applications at play. They're already backed up from COVID, and if there's an emergency, for example, everything that happened in Afghanistan, things that are happening in Israel, things that happen in Ukraine and other areas, different embassy personnel as well as Washington, D.C. prioritizes those as well. So with so many things going on, it is nearly impossible to get an interview appointment. And on top of that, in 2025, there's all these bots buying up these appointment slots, and so they're getting canceled. So is our immigration system broken? the intent of the K-1 visa makes perfect sense. You're a U.S. citizen, you want to get married to somebody else, but you are not married yet, because if you are married, you would just file the normal green card application. But you're not sure, so you want to do a fiancé application. The intent is good, but the reality of how people get K-1 visas and who can get K-1 visas and who does get K-1 visas, it has created this situation, cesspool of people who are applying, but they can't get visas elsewhere. They have a bad background, and there's so much immigrant fraud. And I didn't realize this until very recently. Penalty for marriage fraud, extremely high. Makes sense, obviously. Jail time, fine on the petitioner, on the beneficiary. Not good, shouldn't do it. Yet people do. But what about dating fraud? Because if you are just getting petitioners to say, I might marry you, a fiancé fraud, it's not a marriage fraud. And so I didn't realize until I was looking into this whole K-1 situation. There's so many cash for visa frauds out there across the whole world, not just the United States, Poland, Canada, also Australia as well. But because it is not marriage fraud, it's just a fiancé fraud, the penalty is much lower. And again, the burden of proof is also significantly lower, right? It's just, I might want to marry you. We did online dating. I saw you in person, so I want to invite you over to the United States. Please get a visa to come here, and let's work it out, and we'll get married within 90 days, and then I'll file the green card for you. If it doesn't work, then you go back. We change our mind, right? Because it is not marriage fraud, penalty is a lot lower, then it allows for the crime syndicates to really take advantage of uninformed individuals, saying, I could hook somebody up with you for a fee. It's terrible, but it is unfortunately what's happening in the world. And that's why a lawyer marrying a European who has a great record and everything is perfect, yet it took from 2023 when we filed the application all the way to 2025 before being able to get married and filing for the green card. And this is already fast. I've seen so many K-1 visas take actually an extra 6 months to a year, which is insane, right? Just to be engaged for that long. The documents we provided, other than their personal statement, we provided, I think, 50 pages of photos, and each page has 2 photos with good descriptions of who, when, where, and what. When did this happen? We went across from 2019 all the way till like 2023. You see how the couple evolved and the places they've gone to, their dating, and all of this stuff. We have their phone records of them calling each other, right? And we have statements of all of them sending money back and forth. It was such a strong case because it's so undeniable. Yet it still took 2 years before they're eligible to even get, this petition filed. It's crazy, but that's the world of K-1 visas. Unfortunately, some people cannot just get married and file for a green card. Unfortunately, there are bad actors in this world who are taking advantage of unsuspecting individuals and clogging up the system, and there are bots who are buying up appointment slots. So the reason why the system is broken is also because of so many bad actors are out in the world that makes a good intending visa system more complicated. So sometimes when you're frustrated with the government, when you're frustrated with USCIS, when you're frustrated with the consulate, it's not you. It's not them. It's the unfortunate situation of this world that we live in. But nonetheless, have faith, have hope, work hard. The system should work. Believe in the process. If you have any questions about K-1 visas, feel free to reach out. I mean, we do a lot of these. We try to help out a lot of people in the best way we can. So, thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.